another runner in the night, blinded by the light. Wrapped up like a douche, another runner in the night, blinded by the light. Wrapped up like a madman drummers, bummers, Indians in the summer with the teenage diplomat. In the dumps with the mumps as the adolescent pumps his way into his hair. With a boulder on my shoulder, feeling kinda older, I trip the merry-go-round. With his very unpleasing sneezing and wheezing, the calliope crashed to the ground. She was blinded by the light, wrapped up like a douche, another runner in the night, blinded by the light. Wrapped up like a douche, another runner in the night, blinded by the light. Wrapped up like a douche, another runner in the night, blinded by the light. Wrapped up like a douche. Some silicone sister with the manager, mister, told me I got what it takes. She said I'll turn you on sun into something strong, play the song with the funky break. And go-kart Mozart was checking out the weather chart to see if it was safe outside. And little early birdie came by in his curly whirly and asked me if I needed a ride. Asked me if I needed a ride. Well, she was blinded by the light, wrapped up like a douche, another runner in the night, blinded by the light. She got down, but she never got tight. She's gonna make it to the night. She's gonna make it through the night. Mama always told me not to look into the eyes of the sun. But mama, that's where the fun is.
That's right. Listen to the good words of that lyric. Do not look into the eyes of the sun, no matter what they tell you. It is not worth it. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another edition of The Uninformed Fan. We are back after a little bit of a break due to some unforeseen circumstances. But we are here. We're ready to break down a busy week over the weekend. The MLB trade deadline, F1, a lot of news coming out of the NFL as well. And, of course, we have our Gap Wedge Wednesday for all you golf and betting folks out there. Jeffrey, good to see you, my friends. Been a while. Felt like I forgot your face. How are we doing today?
How can you forget this face? What do you mean?
I don't know.
I'm doing great. It's good to see you doing a lot better as well, too. Obviously, you had a little bit of an incident that happened. You had big plans this past weekend. You know, it was supposed to be New York, stock exchange, a lot of things going on. We knew that, there was a lot of moving parts to it. We're going to try to do the show on Monday. But was there a reason that we played that song as the intro? I felt like there was a little bit of a lead, and I did request it this morning. Do you want to give the listeners a little bit of a backstory about what you've been going through this week?
Yeah, so let me just correct the episode number here on the overlay, as we forgot about that. So it's, wow, what a week. So I was supposed to go to New York on Friday for a stock trading seminar. Friday through Tuesday, come back Tuesday. Well, I do believe it was Wednesday after the show. My air conditioner went out. And, me being
not ideal in Florida.
Not ideal. So my air conditioner's been on the fritz a few times. It's usually the float switch in there. So I immediately get up in there, float switch. No, not the float switch. So then I can kind of hear it. So I'm like, something's wrong with the fan motor. So I pop the cover off, look at it, can see that there's something wrong with the fan motor. Now, inside of your air conditioner unit, if you've upgraded it anything over the past 5 years, the newest thing is UV lights. So you have UV lights that are actually in the fan to kill any bacteria that might grow in there because of the cool, moist conditions. And then you have them on where the air actually comes out of the air handler as well to zap the air as it goes out to the rest of your house, kind of purify your air a little bit. Well, when I pop the cover off to look at the fan, there is a UV light in there. And the UV light shines away from you towards the fan. Didn't think anything of it. I was up there for maybe 15, 20 minutes before I figured out what was wrong with it, which was the fan modulator, which I can't get that part, or if I did, I'd have to order it and it'd be there in a week. So, of course, I had to call the air conditioner guy to come out to fix it. So he comes out later in the that's exactly what it is. They had the part out. They were out for 15 minutes to fix this thing. Of course, cost me $500. But at least the guy didn't charge me a diagnostic fee of $175 since I did my own diagnostics and told him to bring that part. So, hey, I saved myself $175, so I'm feeling pretty good, right? Feeling pretty good. Hey, I just saved some money. Look at me go. I'm learning shit. I changed my alternator in my truck. Now I'm fixing my air conditioner. Holy Tim the Tool Man. I'm building it up. I'm becoming that handyman. And then, a few hours later after this, we're probably 4 or 5 o'clock. Actually, you know what? I take that back. This was Thursday. Yeah, and I was supposed to fly Saturday. So this was Thursday. So we also had Bianca's sister in town, which we were supposed to have a big family dinner. We're going out to the boathouse. Shout out to my peeps over there. Buffington, still a little mad at you. I can't remember the kid that we had.
Hey.
He did a good job. But about 5 o'clock, my eyes just start burning. And I can kind of feel on my face a little bit like I got a little bit of sun exposure, which, I am a fair-skinned individual. I understand that, but I do bronze beautifully after my first couple burns. I know, hard to believe, but this is just what happens. So my eyes start burning, my face starts burning, and I'm like, Bianca, I think I got sunburnt. How? And I'm like, oh, that UV light. I go, but it wasn't even facing at me. It had to be bouncing off that. Well, we get dressed, whatever. We go out to dinner. I look like a crack addict at dinner. My eyes are completely bloodshot, like I just smoked 3 bowls in a crack pipe. I'm squinting to the point where we had a good time about it. We kind of joked, that I'd been hanging around with Hunter Biden before I came out, and that, we shared a little crack together. And I have a little picture here, as you can see, from my boathouse experience where I'm smoking my Moscow Mule crack pipe. And as you can see, that's about as far as my eyes can be opened at that point in time. And then they just wouldn't stop watering. So, like, I'm crying at the table, can't stop. Everybody's making fun of me. We're all laughing. It's all a good time. Ha, ha, ha. Get up, we leave. On the way home, I don't know if it was because it was dark and the car lights or it was bad to the point where I'm going like this the whole time. I can't close my eyes. They hurt too much. I can't open my eyes. They hurt too much. I'm starting to freak out a little bit. Everything's going blurry. And I'm like, oh shit, this is bad. This is bad. So we go home, whatever. I try to go to bed. Now, because my eyes are watering so much, my nose is running, and now my nose is completely clogged to where I can't breathe. So now I'm pacing around trying to get air into my body. I realize now I'm not going to be able to sleep. So I go over to the man cave, and it just gets worse and worse and worse to where I can't stand it anymore. I tell my wife, I'm like, you know what? Let's go to the ER. There's one literally right around the corner from me. I'm like, it's a Thursday night. Hopefully, it's not too busy. So I put on my cataract glasses, the ones that cover my entire face because all light bothers me. I can't be exposed to any light. It burns. So we get in there and I'm like, walking around like a blind person. I can't really see anything. Everything's blurry. I'm freaking out. We get in there and the doctor's like, yeah, okay, well, I'm going to take a guess that you burned your corneas. And I'm like, what? Yeah, you burned your cornea. So they put some numbing agent in there. They do a little test. They're like, yeah, you burned both of your corneas. And I'm like, well, that doesn't sound good. I'm like, am I going to go blind? She's like, nope. Basically what's going to happen is just like when you get sunburnt, you peel your skin. They're going to regenerate every 3 to 4 days. Here's some groovy painkillers. Here's some ibuprofen. You got about a 3 to 4 day stretch of some interesting times ahead. And let me just tell you, tomorrow's going to be worse. I'm like, all right, I'm supposed to fly to New York in 2 days. She goes, yeah, you're not doing that. I highly recommend that you don't fly, nor should you stare at a computer screen for at least the next 2 to 3 days. So, lo and behold, we had got a little bit better. Monday was still a little bit better. We're back to normal now, but that was my last 5 days. It was absolute shit show. But yeah, losing your vision is no joke. That really scared the shit out of me, to be perfectly honest with you.
At your age, you probably thought this was it. You know what I mean? You probably thought that, there was... I'm joking.
My eyes are working perfectly now, Jeffrey, and I see through you. I see through you.
Very dramatic experience. And so, wait, all right. So you burned your corneas, and this is solely based off of you going into the AC unit, even though the UV light was faced the opposite direction.
The only thing I can think of is, I'm sorry, I'm turning down my air conditioner. It's a little hot in here. The only thing that I can think of is that. Phone? Yeah, bro, Ness. You haven't got that Google technology? Come on, now.
Nah, actually, so going back to the AC thing, and I do want to finish this, but Amanda wants to hire somebody to come because we have like a very old system, and because we have an old system, it's very we can't figure it out, basically. So that's why my house stays on 72. Like you came in, you're like, yo, why is your house freezing?
I mean, it felt good, but I'm just all I'm seeing is the slot machines. Yeah.
So I mean, listen, $500 something for my electric bill. It's not that much more crazy than it was at the other.
Hey, when you're rich and you got it, bro. I mean, crank it down to 68 all day long. I mean, flex that shit. You gotta worry about me.
You know what bugs me sometimes? Like I get home at night and like I look and the sliding glass door is like frosted over because of the temperature outside to inside. I'm just like, oh god. All right. Anyway. All right, so go back. So
apparently the reflection of the light bouncing off of the fan that I was working on is what caused it. So then I was like, these things have to be, a little bit more powerful than your tanning bulb lights, Wow. But yeah, so we're back to normal. We're back to good. It was really tough, even to watch TV over the weekend. I didn't.
Yeah, what'd you do? You can't look at a screen. What do you just?
Well, Friday, to be perfectly honest, I slept all day long. I just slept all day long, popped pain pills, and just slept all day long. Saturday, I kind of...
How were your dreams?
Vivid. Vivid. They were good. Yeah, they were good.
Sometimes.
So yeah, I just kind of laid in bed all day Friday. Saturday, I started moving around a little bit. Sunday, I just pretty much flopped on and watched TV the whole time, but it was really tough. I know, first world problems to have all 3 TVs going at once to be able to watch everything that I wanted on Sunday. You know, the end of fantasy baseball day, a lot of things coming through fruition. So
baby.
It was a little tough to keep an eye on that, but yeah, we're back.
And
I was finally back today. Today was my first day back at work. We had a great day, and there's no painful stuff going on yet. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, we're back, baby. No New York, no Big Apple. I'm sorry, Harvey Specter. I was really looking forward to meeting you guys, but maybe next time.
It's wild to me that everybody's like on the Suits train now. I'm like, bro, I watched Suits so long ago.
You know,
are you guys all just?
Me and my wife just love, like, you know, if any new series comes out, I try to not watch it. I just try not to watch it. I love to build it up, dude. Like yesterday, we watched 5 episodes of Suits. Like, that's awesome. We started watching The Witcher, though. I don't know if you're on The Witcher.
I think my wife has watched it. That's like, she's got some shows that she watches that I don't really partake in, and obviously I'll watch the esports stuff as well too, which she doesn't. So it's a good yin and a yang.
Yeah, the new season of The Witcher is a little tough to get into but you know, like I told my wife, you know, it's the beginning of the season. The first 2 to 3 episodes are never juicers anyway, unless you're Game of Thrones.
You know what I watched, and I'm sure this is gonna make some of the boys who actually play this game cringe, but I watched Dungeons and Dragons the other day.
You said that last time, yeah.
Yeah, it was really, really good. It was a good movie. I didn't want to shout that back out again, but yeah. Other than that, me and my wife just been watching Entourage lately, from the beginning.
Great program. I actually liked the movie as well. I know that a lot of the big series guys didn't really appreciate the movie or didn't like it, but I thought it was pretty good, man. I don't know, whatever.
Well, we're gonna watch all of them, and then we'll watch the movie after. It's all on HBO, so
I'm pretty easy to please, I think.
But I was telling you this before the pre-show. It is very interesting the different verbiage that was accepted back then that is no longer accepted now. That is wild to think about, that like, and not, but it's just like, you know, we would be so offended if that language was used now, whereas opposed to back then it was just common practice.
Well, let's just say that
nobody cares.
We would not be offended, but there's a certain
yeah, but words,
but it's just one of those things that you raise your eyebrows like
It was like 2004 to, like, you know, because they started filming Entourage 2004. It's like 2004 to 2008. Like, you just hear these words being thrown around. Yeah, these slurs being thrown around. And you're just like, dang, like, you know, that was just socially acceptable. Nobody cared. Now here we are. Everybody, you can't even like call somebody, you know, you got to make sure their pronouns are correct. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Otherwise it's a felony in Michigan now.
Probably Seattle too.
Got to be careful.
You know, that's always just been my biggest opponent of the woke culture. I'm all for not using these words anymore. I'm all for moving into a different direction. But
Absolutely.
These words have been such common language for so long, and for someone to slip up and say it, and then, you know, just be completely canceled due to this, I think that, you know, that's a little egregious. We're all trying to do better. We're all trying to move in a better direction. But like I said, some of those words it was just common knowledge. And you know, as somebody that's just slightly older than you, you know, it was even more common back then. Hell, I remember seeing a video on YouTube the other day where they were talking about how they were getting ready to ban drinking and driving. And they were interviewing all these people. They're like, hell shit, can't even put in a full day's work and have a beer on the way home anymore. What's next? Going to make me wear my seatbelt? I'm just like...
Yeah.
Actually. I mean, that's where it was. But hey, we move on. Yeah. We move on. So I'm sorry once again. Yeah, what a week. As long
as you keep it like in the forefront of your mind too, I feel like.
Yeah.
Like, as long as you're cognizant of, oh, you know, I shouldn't be using that word. I'm sorry. We got to move past that.
Yeah. But a lot of times you don't get that chance. It's just you said it, you're done.
100%. Yeah.
But we did have a big weekend, you know, over the weekend. Max Verstappen once again in Belgium wins by a landslide after starting in 6th place. It's just, you know, it's just pretty much a given at this point. Red Bull has now won every single race this year. Sergio Perez has won 2. Max Verstappen has won 1. Sergio Perez did get 2nd. Charles Leclerc finishes the podium with Ferrari at 3rd and Lewis Hamilton in 4th. Fernando Alonso coming up in 5th, which was actually kind of big because he didn't look very good, and he actually crashed out of the sprint race, which completely screwed my fantasy, but thank you very much, Alonso. Now, in order, you know, to look at this and actually go back and say, go ahead.
you just hate this man so much.
Oh, I love Fernando Alonso. He's probably one of my favorite drivers, but he did crash out of the sprint and got me negative 20 points, which cost me the win this week. So, yes, I will
He's
say
the same
that.
one that you yell out all the time, Bill, about how he stinks and Verstappen is so much better, right?
Never said that. Never said that. Jeremy, fact check it. Look it up.
He's the one who drives for Red Bull, right?
No, that's Sergio Perez.
Sergio Perez. I'm sorry, not
Yeah,
Fernando Alonso. Okay.
and you know, to your point right there, I have been very hard on Sergio Perez, who hasn't made it out of Q1 in many races. He did make it out and had a good showing this week. However, he started in second place, took over the first place, and it took Max Verstappen approximately 13 laps from sixth place to come back, not only take him over, but beat him by 30 seconds. So instead of sitting here and saying, what can Checo do, what can do, I'd like to pose a different question to the audience. And I know that, Buff, hopefully you're still there. I know that you hit me up about Max Verstappen, possibly, just being, the greatest driver of all time, which I think he is in that conversation already. But there was a lot of controversy, a lot of talk around the F1 communities. Who could sit in the number 2 car, and can they compete with Max Verstappen? My cousin sent me a clip this morning talking about this. And we emphatically agree no. And the reason for that being is Max Verstappen has been at Red Bull for many years. They have dialed this car in over the past 3 to 5 years to make this car exactly how Max Verstappen wants. And for those of you guys that follow Formula One, you know Max Verstappen is very outspoken. He will tell exactly how it is, and he will get his point across. And I think that his car is just set up so perfectly for the way that he drives. And being the best driver that's out there right now, I don't think anybody can compete with him. I think that you take whoever you think that the next best driver is, Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, you put them in that number 2 car, and I still think Max Verstappen is blowing the doors off by 30 seconds. And so, I will lift some of my pressure off Checo, because I don't think that he can compete with them. Me and my cousin were talking as well. Watching those 2 cars and watching Max Verstappen completely just blow by Checo, it wasn't even close. Checo's car was not even close, regardless of what they were doing as far as fighting or whatever. It wasn't even close. So I'll tell you, Team Red Bull just got that thing in. There's a lot of talk around the F1 community about how this isn't fun, how it's not really entertaining for the sport, yada yada yada. And to that I say, go bullshit, because nobody was complaining about this when Lewis Hamilton was winning races by 30 seconds. Nobody said this. Nobody said, hey this, hey what. Ooh.
So Hamilton was winning races by the same amount that Max Verstappen was?
Yes.
So who's to say that Hamilton was not a better driver than Max?
I just think that I'm not going back on straight times. I would have to look at the exact times from different races to see year to year comparison of track times. I'm just saying what we are witnessing by Max Verstappen here is just absolutely flawless driving.
Historical.
It's absolutely flawless driving.
It's I think it's a tough argument, obviously, because of the amount of technology that has grown in today's day and age, and the speed with which they go, the simulators that they're able to have, as opposed to maybe guys who are more natural, like a Schumacher or an Andretti, or these historic people. But I'll say the same thing. Like all of Lewis Hamilton's teammates, you would have said the same thing about them. Like could Vottle or
I wouldn't say that, because I would say George Russell has
really.
Yeah, George Russell has competed and beat Lewis Hamilton this year. Absolutely, he has. So
that's this year. That's not like Lewis Hamilton's prime, though, right? Like in his prime, like were they really? They weren't really competing like that with him, right?
I would have to go back and look at some of the. I would have to go back and look at some of the numbers, because I did say that to my cousin the other night, because Toto did come out and say, at least when we were dominating, we had 2 cars that were fighting each other, and I thought that was a good point. My cousin quickly corrected me, who's obviously been in F1 a little bit longer, and this was his exact response. He's using rose-colored glasses. 2020 had 17 races. Hamilton won 11. Valtteri Bottas 2. Max won 2. Pierre Gasly won 1. And Perez won 1. Of the 6 races not won by Hamilton, other teams won 4 of them. 2019, Hamilton was 11, Bottas 4. The other teams had 6 wins. 2018, Hamilton had 11 wins. The others had 10, and Bottas had 0. So what you see there is that, yeah, they were dominating, but they didn't dominate every single race like what we're seeing from the Red Bull team. And their cars weren't. And like I said, I went back to look at that race, and I did see where Lewis Hamilton won over 30 seconds over his teammate at that point in time. So, yeah, I think that the greater point, and I think what we're looking at, because we've talked numerous times, is Red Bull cheating, right? I just think that I just think they have that car dialed in. But so like this week, the reason why Max Verstappen started 6th, he took the pole. He had to put in a new gearbox because he used his allotment of gearboxes because he torched through one, and it didn't matter. So if I'm Red Bull and I see any little parts worn down, I'm taking the 5-spot penalty. I'm putting it in there. Hell, I'm replacing my engine. I mean, I'll start at the back of the field, and that brings me to my last point about F1 before we move on, is I thought it would be really cool towards the end of the season to have a reverse race, right? So either not the championship point one, so maybe not the last one, but maybe the race right before it, we do a reverse start race. So whoever's won in the Constructors' Cup starts off in 20th place. Second, 19th, and so forth and so on. So you have the last place guy on pole position and see what happens with a race like that. But it has to be on a track that there's plenty of overtaking available.
Right, I was going to say that. It can't be on like
it can't be a short course. It has to be where there's a lot of overtake, some DRS, and it has to be a lengthy race, maybe, 50, 60, 70 laps. But I would love to see that. I think that would be freaking awesome, even if it's in an exhibition. I mean, even if it's an exhibition and the points don't count, I think that would be great for the sport to really see. Because, you see the Haas's, you see even some of the Alfa Romeos. Like, Nico Hülkenberg has great qualifying times, but they can't keep the tire degradation down on these cars. If you look at especially Nico Hülkenberg, he'll start off in the top 10. And then 15 laps in, he's down to 15th. That's why I stopped picking him, because you lose points for every position you lost. Great qualifying, get up there, but they can't hold the tire degradation. They can't hold the car throughout the race, which is why if you're in a sprint race or a short race like we had last time, these type of cars and these type of people are good for it. But they just can't hold on to it. I don't understand it. I really don't. But yeah, I don't know. So like we were talking about before, again, Checo back in. This was a big race for him, big confidence booster. We did see the McLarens. The McLarens had some serious troubles. Oscar Piastri goes out after a first collision crash. He was obviously having a great run of a few races. And then we did see Lando Norris, who at one point was in 19th place, actually come all the way up to 7th place. So that just goes what I was talking about before about these fast cars and these good builds. They can start at the back of the pack and make it. They're that good of drivers, and I think that would be a great race. I don't care, like I said, if there's no actual points involved, whether it's just an exhibition race, but I think that'd be awesome. So let's see here. Fun. I'm just bringing up the next one here. See where we're at next. I do believe we are on summer break. We are August 25th, 26th. Nope, we have one more. August 24th and 26th, and we are going to the Netherlands. Ooh, nice place. Highly recommend it.
Netherlands.
Yeah. Highly recommend it. So we'll see how that goes on. In other news, which we didn't have a show on Monday, which we were really hoping to do. Again, my apologies for not being able to do the show. The MLB trade deadline was yesterday at 1 p.m., and we did see some major moves. We saw some teams that were absolute sellers. We saw some teams that were buyers, which were a little bit little sketchy in my opinion, but we'll break that down. But the Mets have absolutely given up on the season, and they have unloaded everything. Justin Verlander's going to the Houston Astros. We have Max Scherzer going to the Texas Rangers, which they have identical records in Texas, and that I thought that was kind of cool, little in-state battle here. David Robertson, they shipped to the Marlins. And the interesting thing that I thought I saw about the Justin Verlander trade is they're going to eat like $50 million of his contract, to where the Astros have him, I do believe, for 2 or 3 years for $28 million. That's all they're on the hook for. So an absolute banger of a trade if you're a Houston Astros fan, in my opinion. You get Justin Verlander back. He gave you a nice run there a few years ago, and you get him at a discount. I mean, you're only 28 million for 3 years, 2 to 3. I think it's 2. So you figure $14 million a year for Justin Verlander.
Listen, the most important thing about this is that Kate Upton likes Houston, right? So Kate Upton is going to be happy. Justin
You don't think
Verlander's
she liked
gonna
New
be
York?
happy. Everybody happy. I don't know. Maybe, probably, but we know that she likes Houston, so we're good there.
Yeah.
I think it's a good trade for them. They need a little bit extra starting pitching, obviously. What's the kid who threw the no hitter last night? Valdez.
Yeah.
Is that his name? Throws a no hitter last night, so obviously the Astros are going to be pretty good going forward. They gave up a lot though. They did give up their number one prospect that they have in their farm system to shipping back the other way to the Mets. So if you're the Mets,
2 outfield prospects
as well. And then the Scherzer deal. Scherzer gets approved, goes through the Rangers. You will have, I guess, starting next year, it'll be Scherzer and DeGrom in the same rotation. It's kind of ironic that you get all these same guys who are getting shipped off. Syndergaard got shipped off this trade deadline as well too, I believe, to the Indians. So a lot of moving parts up there in New York. It's a shame it didn't work out. Man, nobody saw that one coming.
So not only was it their number one,
go Braves.
Not only their number one outfield prospect in Drew Gilbert, but also their number 4 prospect in Ryan Clifford. They gave up 2 top 5 prospects. Now, again, that's their prospects. That's not overall prospects, but on the same token, once again, I mean, but you are so. And what I was talking about before, the Mets will send $35 million to the Astros to cover his salary, an additional $17.5 million if the 2025 option is vested. So, I mean. Again, I mean, you did give up a lot, bro. You did give up a lot. I thought it was funny, though, because David Robinson was the first chip that went down, right? And then you had Max Scherzer coming out and saying, I guess I need to talk to the front office because you just traded away our closer, so I guess we're sellers. And then the next day, Max Scherzer is traded as well. Hey, you asked for it, bro.
Which is pretty funny because Max Scherzer, I believe I saw this stat correctly. I could be wrong, but I think I saw a stat. Max Scherzer is going to be the first player in the history of baseball to get paid more than $15 million by 3 teams simultaneously. So he's getting paid by the Nationals still a chunk of money. He's getting paid by the Mets a chunk of money, and now he's getting paid by the Rangers as well, another chunk of money. So good for Max.
Definitely good for Max. Good for Max.
Sure he needs it.
The Cubs ended up being buyers.
Yeah, I love that.
We got Candelero from the, I don't know if I'm saying that right, from the Washington Nationals, which in doing a little digging, he came up through the Cubs and had his first home run in a Cubs uniform. So welcome home, Mr. Calendaro, whatever the hell your name is. Candelario.
Yeah, nice third baseman. I mean, it's been kind of a rotating position ever since KB left, which has been tough. But, it looks like you'll get some stability there, which is awesome as well, too. And a younger cat.
Yep, picked up also a reliever out of Kansas City. I don't know a whole lot about him, but we'll be digging in there. One of the biggest I don't know if you want to call it question marks, but I'm going to call it question marks, is the San Diego Padres are buyers at the trade deadline. Now, there was a lot of chips. A lot of people talked about whether or not they were going to be buyers or sellers, and if they were, that Josh Hader was one that was going to be looking at being traded, and then Blake Snell as well. Now, those 2 names were very interesting for us, obviously, because we have them both on our fantasy team. So I was actually. Yeah, I was actually, pretty excited that, hey, maybe they'll go to a team that can actually give them some run support, and we can get, maybe Josh Hader can actually get some saves. But that didn't happen. And, they added more components over there. And to me, I thought it was very, very interesting, considering what their record is and where they stand, that you would be buyers at this point. And they haven't got it done through July. They haven't got it done. They played absolutely terrible. We all know that baseball is a game of streaks. However, I was very, very surprised by this. I know that you said that you expected them to keep everybody together and they're going to at least run it back another year. Again, I just thought that, I look back at the 2016 Chicago Cubs who won the World Series and then couldn't really put anything together again. They did have some minor blips in the playoffs, but nothing like what we saw. And then we talked again about, those were some good decisions by the Cubs. Chris Bryant obviously has been a bust since then. Same with Javier Baez has been a bust since then. So there were some good decisions by the front office to break up that team. And I had some hard feelings about that as well. And I said, I felt And then I said, you know what? No, they had their chance. They had their chance to put it together, and they didn't do it for 2 to 3 years afterwards. So absolutely. So maybe they're in that window of that 2 to 3 times. I don't know. I just think that team is just absolutely way too talented for the record that they have. And maybe that's what the front office sees, and maybe a few extra pieces will spark them, but I don't see it happening.
They have an all-star team, and you asked me the question: are they going to sell? You can't sell 9 positions. I mean, you could, but you're still going to be on the hook. So you're kind of all in here. You don't you push your chips to the middle of the table. You know, you're kind of getting called on your bluff, but you got a few outs possibly, right? You still got the turn, you still got the river. We could go runner here and maybe make a hand and make something happen.
You know the odds of hitting a runner?
I don't.
Roughly 4%. Do you know how I know that?
No.
Justin Timberlake. The movie Runner.
That was a good movie, actually.
Great movie. Great movie.
Yeah. Very poignant, right? Hills of Costa Rica running around.
What a show, dude. What excitement.
Poker.
What excitement about that.
Fun times. To go back to the Padres, though, I did say they were going to stay put. I didn't think they'd be buyers, but buying any assets in, but I don't mind it. I feel like they need a shakeup at the top, whether that's a manager being fired or something like that to kind of like just excite this. But they have
somebody needs to fall on the sword.
Yeah, somebody has to, and somebody to kind of light a fire underneath the team. Bobby Cox used to do this all the time, right? When the Braves would come out flat, he would just go lay into an umpire and get kicked out, and then you'd have Freddie Gonzalez who took over, and then it was like, okay, let's go. You know, now we're gonna turn it on. Let's win one for the Gipper.
God, who was the Cubs
Aaron
guy?
Boone does that all the time.
Jeremy, who was the Cubs manager that used to do that all the time? Hall of Fame
Dusty?
Coach. Nah,
Dusty?
the one before him. Big old gut, Lou Piniella. Sweet Lou.
Lou Piniella, Sweet Lou, yep.
He used to do that shit all the time,
bro,
dude.
It's the old school, bro. You come out there, like, something's not going your way. You make a few errors, whatever, it doesn't matter. You go out there, you lay into the umpire.
Yep.
Lay into him. Throwing dirt, kicking dirt everywhere. He throws you out of the game. Let's go. You give one last little push, you know, and then you walk into the dugout and watch the rest of the game over a bourbon. But they need something like that. I do think they have a chance to go on a run here. They're probably the most dangerous team when it comes to that, just looking at top to bottom, the pitching they have, the bullpen they have, the hitting they have, everything. They need to put it together. So
Manny Machado has been one of the hottest hitters in baseball since I dropped him.
Of course.
And how about somebody dropping Pete Alonso?
Who, Mike?
Yeah.
Well, it's funny too, right? We talked about the Shohei Ohtani thing, and speaking of the trade deadline, you know, because Shohei Ohtani is on Mike's team, and everybody's been very much encouraging Mike to get rid of him. But in a league where everybody makes the playoffs, I feel like trading him is not to the best of your interest, because if you get into that 1 week playoff where you get 2 starts out of Ohtani and you get a few at bats out of him, you know, you're talking about a guy who can put up crazy numbers as well too. So
it would have to be a very lucrative trade. You'd have to get two stud starting pitchers and probably a batter.
And Acuna or something. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be
about that. I mean, 2 starters and Acuna.
Yeah,
but
no,
okay, so with all this being said,
but
we had our preseason predictions. Let's give a little home stretch after the trade deadline, and let's see who we're looking at. Let's start with the AL East. I know I started with the Tampa Bay Rays, who are now a game and a half back of the Orioles, which I think has surprised everybody in the league with their starting pitching. We all knew the bats were going to be there, and including our guy hitting a grand slam last night, by the way. Chalk it up. Boop. But can they continue? I think that's the biggest thing. The Rays have gone through a little bit of a slump here. They've gone through some abysmal hitting, which has been, you know, they're putting up 2-3 runs a game where they're putting up 5, 6, 7. Wander Franco has been in a slump as well, which I did trade for him in my other league. We have him on this one. I'm still going to go with the Tampa Bay Rays. They're a game and a half back. I still think that they can get it done. However, the Baltimore Orioles are a feel-good story, and, you know, that town needs a little something to cheer about. So it wouldn't be the worst thing if the Baltimore Orioles came through, but I think we can all agree that seeing the New York Yankees at the bottom of the division is something just warms your heart a little bit, doesn't it?
Not bad. Not bad to see. I will say this. So I'm going to stick with my original prediction to start the season because we're close, and so I might as well double down, and that is
7.5 games back, eh?
How many?
7.5.
Well, so First of all, I don't know if I think I said the Rays win the division, the Blue Jays make the playoffs, and the Blue Jays go to the World Series. It was something like that.
You said
One
the
of
Blue Jays
two.
win the World Series. But, I'm going to let you break this down for 1 second.
I didn't say the Blue Jays win the World Series. I have the Braves winning the World Series.
No, I said the Blue Jays won the division. I'm sorry. You said
okay. All right, cool.
And one thing, before you let you get in, I'm sorry. One thing I do want to point out, there are 7.5 games back, but they're also 10 games over 500. That division is absolutely stacked. You got the Yankees in last, 11 games back, 3 games over 500. And then you have the Twins 2 games over, and they're winning in another division. So, but yes, go back to your Toronto Blue Jays.
I was going to say the Blue Jays, they did make a small deal at the deadline. I also like what the Rays did as well, too, picking up the pitcher from the Indians, who's known in baseball circles, Pavena, something like that. Anyway,
where did he come from?
He came from, I'm sorry, the Cleveland.
Whoa!
Whatever. I don't care. I'm going to continue to call them the same thing. The Indians or the Redskins, I don't care. Cancel me. Who cares? Yeah, exactly. But I did like that pickup, kind of solidified the rotation a little bit. They do have McClellan coming back as well, too, to add to the rotation as well, too. So the Rays, I think better days are ahead. But this is what I talked about the Rays. I do have a problem that they don't have that. They have a Rosarena who is really good, but they don't have that number one ace. They don't have that lockdown hitter who's going to show up in big pressure moments, and you can really rely on to always get a big hit. So we'll see what happens. They have a chance to change that narrative as well too going forward. Orioles have been a great story this year. Unbelievable. Batting has been great. We said that it was going to be phenomenal. Pitching has come around a little bit. We were worried about the back end of the bullpen. Hasn't been too bad, but I feel like they've been playing really, really, really good ball lately. They've been on a really strong streak. I see a little bit of a dip off coming. I do see the Blue Jays going to gain a few games there as well too. I think it's definitely a 3-team race all the way to the end between those 3. You pretty much already have the 2 wild cards going to be locked up as well too. So we'll see what happens with that. But I do still like the Blue Jays.
Moving on to the AL Central, which I think we talked about here that nobody really cares about. The Minnesota Twins are winning that division. They're 2 games up. I can't remember who I picked. Jeremy, maybe you remember.
Sox, I think.
I don't know who I picked out of that. Maybe I picked the White. I don't know. I don't think I picked the White Sox. I don't remember. But anyway, I was really surprised though that Cleveland traded away Josh Bell, which again, you're 2 games behind here on this. I mean, you're 2 games behind the division. You're obviously straight in it. Oh, I did pick the Twins. Look at me. Woohoo!
Good for you.
You're only 2 games by. Why are you trading Josh Bell? Why are you a seller? But I mean, I guess because you're 2 games under 500, and you feel like even if you do make the playoffs, what kind of impact are you actually going to have? So I guess I could see it that way. But
they
one
also
of the
traded the other dude too, right? The what's his name? The pitcher. They just traded the Rays as well. That they had. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see that one yet. Kind of going
pretty
through
disappointing
here,
from the Chicago White Sox this year.
Huh? They had a lot of prospects. They had a lot of talent on the team, but they just couldn't get it done. They did trade away a couple of their pitchers. However, I'm still looking at this. I don't know if you saw from Detroit, Eduardo Rodriguez, our pitcher, which that we've had, who's had an amazing season. There was a deal in place for him to be traded to the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Yeah, he didn't want to go.
And he invoked his 10-team no trade clause to not go to the Dodgers. Now, to me, I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, the Dodgers are obviously one of the best teams in baseball. They're there. They're going to be there. Why would you want to stay in Detroit on a sinking ship when you know that the team is probably going to get rid of you at some point anyway? I thought that was very interesting. Obviously, I'm not doubting whatever his personal is or anything of that nature. I just thought that was very, very interesting that he decided to say that. I don't know. Anyway, the Central, I don't. Do you? I'm still going to go with the Twins, I guess, just because by default. I don't know.
Yeah, whatever. Sure.
We don't need to talk about that.
I don't see anybody else doing.
Yeah,
doesn't really matter.
Now the AL West is pretty interesting here. You have the Texas Rangers and the Houston Astros, who are pretty much both neck and neck, who both made some good trade deadlines. Jeremy, I don't remember who I picked here either. I don't think when you have a neck and neck race like this, I just don't know how you count out the Houston Astros. It's just a team that's been there forever. It's annoying. They're like the Yankees, of the East. They're the Yankees of the West. I would love to see Texas Rangers get up there and do it. I don't feel like they've been relevant for quite some time. But if you look a little bit deeper here, you have the Los Angeles Angels, only 5.5 games back, which is interesting, because they did pick up a few pieces as well to be able to push that. They said that they're not going to get rid of Shohei Ohtani. They're going to ride that horse all the way to the end. We'll see what happens. I did find it again interesting that one, he didn't get traded, and two, that the Los Angeles Angels were buyers at the trade deadline. But I guess if you know you're getting rid of him next year at the end of the year anyway, and this is your one shot. I don't know when Mike Trout comes back. I mean, not having him has been obviously a big thorn in the side. But, I guess you might as well just give it one last shot if it doesn't cost you too much.
I don't think he's too far off. I do 5.5 back. Give me the Angels to come back and win this division.
Okay, now you're just saying stuff to say stuff. It's kind of like when you had your NFL playoff predictions.
The Jacksonville Jaguars should have won that game.
But they didn't.
Against the Chiefs, but they didn't.
Moving over to the National, we got the NL East, and your Atlanta Braves. There is no way anybody's catching that team. They might not have the names of an all-star team like the San Diego Padres, but they are playing like an all-star team. From top to bottom, all 9 positions are absolutely just slaying the ball. Pitching has been pretty good, but again, when you have the offense like they have, it's pretty tough to lose games, in my opinion.
Well, and the other thing is, too, they got a little flack because they didn't make a move at the deadline. They were in the Verlander talks as well. A couple other guys that they were rumored to get. They ended up going out and getting a guy, Brad Hand, to kind of shore up the bullpen a little bit. They do have Kyle Wright as well as Max Fried, both coming off the injured list here very soon. So that will be 2 additional pieces to add to the rotation. We will see if Ian Anderson comes back as well, too. And then AJ Minter just came off the IL about 2 days ago. So things are starting to come back a little bit. I think they go back on another run.
If I remember correctly, Brad Hand played for the Braves before, correct?
I think so.
I think so. I think I had him in some of the other teams. So, yeah, obviously, big disappointment out of New York Mets. I mean, 50-56, nobody saw that team coming. The Miami Marlins, though, being buyers at the trade deadline, they are 6 games over 500. And if you look at the wild card, they're
right there. They're not too far off.
They're 1 game back on the wild card. So, I mean, I could see that. They did pick up a good closer. Our closer, obviously. And then he proceeded to blow the save last night. So maybe a little bit of buyer's remorse there, but probably not. But the Braves, to put a bow on that division real quick, Braves are 15 games over 500 in road games. And when you're having that kind of success on the road, that's just going to equate to domination. And they're just a fun team to watch right now, dude. I put them up on the TV, even though they're obviously not my team. I put them up there every time that they're on. I don't have anything pressing on. It's just a fun team to watch. If you watch them, Marcell Ozuna's having a great time out there, kind of rejuvenating his career a little bit. Olsen,
he was almost gone, bro.
Yeah, he was almost out of the league.
Should have been.
Yeah, but he's not. It's one of those things. Somebody took a flyer on him, and look, boom. So shout out to your Atlanta Braves, bro. I mean, just doing great stuff. Great stuff.
Thanks.
Moving on to the NL Central, we have the Cincinnati Reds, who have been the surprise of the NL season, I guess you could say. I think they were plus 6,000 to win the division this year after calling up De La Cruz and Encarnacion Strand. They put together some stuff, had a spark, 9 games over 500, and hold a half-game lead over the Milwaukee Brewers and a 4-game lead over my Chicago Cubs, who just came on absolute tear right before the trade deadline, won 8 straight, put themselves in relative contention, which kind of forced the Chicago Cubs' hands to be a little bit of buyers on the way in. Now, I did see a couple of the sports reporters out of Chicago. A lot of them were impressed with what they were doing, but a few of them were saying, hey, we got to start thinking with our heads and not our hearts. This team is still not going to compete. The fact that you're buying and not setting up for next year is the disservice to the team. And, for that being said, I always said if I was an owner of a sports franchise, I would want to win every year. Why would you not want to win every year? And if you have a chance to win every year, then you make that chance to win it every year. So I like what they've done. As far as this goes, I had to have picked the Cubs, right, Jeremy?
They're screaming, "Go Cubs, go!"
I think that I don't know.
I had the Cardinals, so I want my boy Ali. Didn't work out. The Reds are so fun to watch. So we know the starting pitching was going to be good, and now to see the hitting come around. Ellie De La Cruz,
he's a freak, man.
An unbelievable story. I worry about the sustainability of it. You're looking at only 4 games up on a team like the Cubs. The Brewers, I'm not really worried about for some reason. I don't know why. Just Milwaukee never scares me. I don't know.
I'll tell you. So I was talking.
Listen, this is the thing too. Like we're talking about right now. Like if you're looking at somewhere to find value on, that we're going to give you an advice on. Maybe you take a flyer on winning the division. I think the Cubs are a good bet right there. Just like I said, 5 games back. You're talking about a team like the Angels that can possibly get back into it as well too. The Blue Jays 7.5 back. These teams can get hot. They have the potential to get hot. They have the potential to go on a run and potentially win the division. So yes, it's very easy for us to say we're going to give you the favorite, and the favorite is going to win, and they're 2 games up, and that's what's going to happen. But these are just nice odds to kind of throw out there that we think they have a puncher's chance. We're not saying to put your house on it, put your mortgage on it, but maybe sprinkle a few dollars and have some fun with it.
Put your mortgage on it. Cubs are winning the division. Probably not. I was talking to my father about this the other day, and I think the Cubs' biggest issue right now is their starting pitching. Okay, Marcus Stroman is starting to struggle a little bit. He's obviously their ace. Justin Steele has been a great pitcher so far. He needs to maintain. Those top 3 pitchers have to sustain wins for the Chicago Cubs in order to be able to compete for this division. Kyle Hendricks, once again, continues to just pull games out of his ass. He is the poor man's Greg Maddux. He just continues to he's a contact pitcher. He has some of the lowest hard rate balls that are hit out there, which is why he is on our fantasy team to pick us up out of that 3rd, 4th, 5th rotation spot. But to me, it has to go on Marcus Stroman, it has to go on Justin Steele, and it has to go on Drew Smyly. Those pitchers have to sustain and throw great games in order for them to compete. Their bullpen has been absolutely excellent over the past month. They have one of the best records in baseball since the All-Star break. They need to be able to maintain it. They did drop 2 in a row, 1 to the Cardinals, 1 to the Cincinnati Reds. They did pick up 1 last night. So obviously picking up that win, that only puts them 4 games back behind the Cincinnati Reds, and we have another game, I do believe, with them today. So that's another opportunity for them to continue to get back into it. So give me the Chicago Cubs. Give me the homer pick. I am going with my Cubbies, which was my preseason prediction. Then we got the NL West. Got the Dodgers up 2.5 over the Giants. And then, again, what we talked about, 8.5 back are the San Diego Padres. 2 games under 500. I'm pretty sure I picked the Padres. I had to have picked the Padres, right?
Padres are going to try to push as hard as they can for that wild card, but it's going to be kind of tough. So we'll see what happens.
We all know the Dodgers are winning it. It's whatever. That's just kind of one of those.
Dodgers are going to win it. Arizona's been a really fun story, though. I mentioned Corbin Carroll in as the players to watch in one of our fantasy pickups that we had as well too. He's having an incredible year. So shout out to the people that I listened to that said that I regurgitated their information as well. Really, really good.
So, just in a recap, obviously some good buyers there, some questionable sellers in my opinion. We'll see how the season continues to roll out. Depending on who your team is, hopefully you got some people that you wanted to get in. Hopefully that your team did something to continue to pique your interest. And
yeah, it's weird. I couldn't believe like a team like the Red Sox were sellers, getting rid of a guy like Kiki Hernandez for a team that's been playing some of the best baseball, right now. It's pretty incredible. And then, the Houston Astros go out and get a guy like Justin Verlander to be able to step in as well too, to kind of shore up that rotation. I still worry about the Astros hitting for some reason. I don't know why. I just don't feel like they're the same team that they were before when they were banging on trash cans and cheating. So.
Well, I think if we know anything about the Houston Astros, they definitely know how to get hits when it's needed. So I'm pretty sure they'll figure out a way, whether it's an analog camera, whether it's a digital tappity tap tap, or whether it's just your traditional garbage can taking it out, during the middle of a swing to tip off of pitches. But there's one person that might know about that. There's one person that might give us the insight on how they don't feel that the Houston Astros hitting will struggle. And we all know who that is.
Who is that? Alex Cora?
No, that is our very own, one of the members of the Bad Burrito Boys who are coming in to talk a little Gap Wedge Wednesday. We have Country Club Chad and Paulie Parputz. Boys, how are we doing today?
We're doing great.
Good morning. It's still morning, right?
Good to have you on the program.
The easiest way to win when you can't hit is just throw fucking no-hitters, okay?
Fair enough.
Thank you.
No, it was a great performance yesterday by the young man. Obviously, listen, I said before to Tyson, I think the biggest thing here is that Kate Upton's going to be happy. She obviously likes Houston, doesn't mind being there. Can't wait to see her up in the box clapping, cheering for Justin. It's going to be a great few years. Down. Yeah. Paul, what were your thoughts about the the Red Sox and their moves at the deadline here?
I don't think they're going to have too much trouble replacing a 226 hitter with 6 home runs and 34 RBI.
I was about to say, was Kiki Hernandez even playing for them?
No, it wasn't real good.
He's not great.
Hot take from Jeffrey.
It was weird that Justin Turner tweeted out that thing about how, like, you know, when Kiki left, it was like he was like, "Oh man, I kind of wish I was going," but I don't know, just kind of weird vibes. But they're still only like, they're right
you want
there
to go
in
back
the
to
wild
LA
card.
where they have a very good chance.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I can understand that. Anyway, well, it's a
You
pleasure
realize
to
they
have you
both-
boys.
They both came from LA, right? You know that, right?
I do know that, Chad. Thank you very much.
Just making sure.
Yeah, I appreciate you letting me know who was on that Dodgers team that my Braves continue to get drubbed by. Anyway, moving on. Pleasure to have you guys on. Thank you guys so much for being here today. As always, apologize for the tardiness. I know that we are much later than we normally get you on, but we do appreciate your time nonetheless. So thank you guys very, very much for being here. We sincerely appreciate it. Chad, that being said, moving on, we do have the 3M Championship that wrapped up last week. 3M Open, I'm sorry, at the TPC Twin Cities that we had. Everything okay over there?
Yeah, I apologize. I was trying to get in my YouTube account. I have a 2-step verification, and I clicked on it, and it popped up a YouTube video. My mini apologies. Just trying to get a YouTube to do a little channel support here.
Goddamn
Chad,
pop-up porn.
Yep.
Lee Hodges, thank God that we didn't.
Boy.
Here's some things. Lee Hodges goes ahead and takes it home. 24 under. Takes home $1.4 million for the win as well. I was not familiar with Lee Hodges. Who is this guy? Where did he come from?
He kind of came out of the nowhere, but he was trending in the right direction. Paul actually talked about him the week before, and I actually joked with Paul about being a week early on him. So it was something
little flop lag on Lee Hodges.
Little flop lag. I didn't really get to see any of this tournament. I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. Did you guys watch this at all, Paul? Chad, you guys get a chance to watch this tournament at all?
Yeah,
Coming down
I watched,
the stretch? How'd it go?
I watched some of it. I mean, Hodges was 5 strokes up after 54 holes, so he pretty much coasting. Saturday, he had a pretty big lead too. I believe it was like 4 or 5 strokes going into the start of Saturday because he had to finish up late night after a rain delay and everything was soft on Friday. So I think he birdied 4 out of the last 5 holes or something like that and stretched his lead to a pretty decent margin. And then a couple guys flirted with trying to catch him, but then they fell off. Kevin Yu, I think he hit 8 straight birdies at one point, or he was 8 under through 11 or something like that on Sunday or Saturday it was, and he got within 1 or 2 strokes of him, and then after that he just fell off. Ended up only shooting 4 under for the day. So he was the closest follower on Saturday, and then Poston and Finau couldn't really get anything going on Sunday to catch him. So it was just pretty much just a walk in the park. I did like the aggressiveness though. Yeah, he still played with on Sunday, not just trying to not lose it.
Yeah, no, I love that. I always love to see those guys digging like that. You get to see any of the NV5 Invitational they had on the Corn Ferry Tour. I don't know if you saw this, but Barstool actually took over the broadcast of it. So Barstool, Foreplay guys, and you know their whole broadcasting crew kind of took over, did the entire situation. It was highly entertaining. I thought they did a phenomenal job compared to what we hear sometimes from a Zinger or the old Brandel Chambly or Trevor Immelman. Very, very bland, very just whatever. I feel like this is maybe like a new age golf thing. I don't know. Did you get a chance to see any of that?
No, I didn't see any of that at all.
Okay,
we need David Faraday back. We need David Faraday back.
Yeah, maybe that comes in like the live thing where they kind of switch over. I'm not really sure how that goes, but maybe they get him back in the trade. So some of the biggest stories that we had, some of the biggest stories that, whatever.
We're gonna trade Paul Azinger for David Faraday.
You guys got the Zinger.
Zinger goes to the live.
We're taking Faraday back. All right, bring me back Peter Jacobson. You know, I need him on the mic as well too.
Little backspin boogaloo out of Jacobson.
I need him a little bit. So obviously one of the stories going in was guys trying to make FedEx Cup points to get into the FedEx Cup and also trying to perform a little bit for the Ryder Cup. It went well for some, not as well for other guys like a Justin Thomas. Obviously, Paul, we're going to be heading into this tournament in the Wyndham Championship this week with a lot of those things riding on the line. Because I'm sure not a lot of guys, not a lot of the top names will probably be in this tournament because they're gearing up for the FedEx Cup playoffs. First of all, what are we looking at the Wyndham Championship, and what can we kind of look forward to going into it?
The Wyndham Championship is in Greensboro, North Carolina, Sedgefield Country Club, which is a shorter course, 7131. Decent-sized greens, got 6,000 square feet. They run pretty quick. They're a 12.5 plus on the stimp on the fact sheet, and it's Bermuda grass, so Champion Bermuda.
Nice. I do see we do have a previous winner here in Tom Kim. Chad, what are we kind of looking at for the field going forward this week in terms of, is it a strong field? Is it a weaker field? What do we got going on this week?
This is going to be a weaker field. Guys at the top are going to be like Sam Burns, Hideki Matsuyama, Siwoo, Sung Jae Im. Not real big guys. Pretty much guys just love this course, and or they're trying to better themselves, maybe get in that top 30 range so they have a better chance of making the championship for the top 30 in a couple weeks from now. So I feel like this is going to be more of a good chance for a first-time winner or a long shot, I believe.
I love that. So, Paul, a quick question for you, just for maybe some of our listeners who are kind of new to the situation and kind of the way that golf plays out in terms of playing the season and getting into the FedEx Cup playoffs. Can you kind of break down what goes into this, who makes the playoffs, maybe who's left out, and kind of the formula that the PGA uses?
Yeah, so this year is a new format. In previous years, it was top 125, make the first event, then top 70, and then top 30. They've changed that to this season. You're going to have next week will be the top 70, the following week top 50, and then the Tour Championship at East Lake will be the top 30. That hasn't changed. So it's just accruing points over the year. Your majors and your elevated events are going to give more points. Your alternate events, less points. Placement points, every time you make a cut, you get a certain amount of points. And then the higher or the better you finish in the event, the more points you get. So the higher you're on that, when we go to East Lake at the end of August, they will have a staggered starting. So who's ever first in FedEx Cup points at that time, I think goes in with, is it 10 under?
Yeah, 10 under.
Yeah, so it's based on, they start the event at 10 under, and then it's staggered down from there. So it gives, I hate it, but it gives the player that played the best over the season the best chance at winning the event.
And the one thing about this year that's different is people are also trying to get into the top 125 still, because you keep your card if you're in top 125. You don't get to play next week, but you still get to keep your card at least, and you don't have to worry about.
That goes till November.
Okay.
So we'll be doing that through the RSM in November.
All right. I just want to make sure that people knew that it's still about people are still trying to fight to get to the top 125 also, not just the top 70.
Yeah.
So there'll be, more motivation for those guys that are in like 130 and stuff like that. If you have something you're looking at as a number.
So we talk about motivation and not guys who are just using this as a tune-up. Is there anybody who is extra motivated to maybe try to play well this week to try to get into that top bracket to be able to make this next tournament going in? Or Chad, anybody got?
You got a couple guys like Justin Sue is just outside top 70. Billy Horschel has not played well all year, but he's starting to find something. It seems like he's just outside. If those guys play very well, do certain things, finish in certain spots, they can still get in. There's a couple guys that I know off the top of my head that can play their way in if they play well this week. I think Paul might have a couple more. He sent me a list the other day that he might have someone else.
And anybody else who you feel like is going to be a little overly motivated to try to get up into this into this playoff?
So I am of the school of thought that these guys show up every week to try and win. Very rarely do you have guys who show up and, hit one shot and withdraw or collect a sponsor check and peace out. So if they're coming to this event, they're trying to play as well as they can. And sure, being ranked 75th in the FedEx Cup or 65th in the FedEx Cup, it may change a little bit of the style of play, but I really don't believe that anybody's showing up and saying, you know what, I really got to do it this week. And they can just flip a switch and go after it to try to get from 72 up to 68. So, yeah, there's guys. I mean, we could talk about, look up FedEx Cup points and see who's there oscillating between 67 and 73 or whatever else. Or maybe it's guys who are trying to get from 52 into the 49 to, maybe secure themselves 2 weeks of the playoffs instead of just this next event and then move on. So, if we're looking at a guy at the top of the board who might have that extra motivation that we're going to hear about, Shane Lowry is one of those guys. So he's right there on the bubble. Major winner, world-class player, the type of guy that you like to see week to week. He's pretty good. I'm not sure he's got the events he wins are normally somewhere between the 12 under to 17 under range. He's not normally around the top at birdie fests, but if he can keep the ball in play and go tee to green, he's the guy who, may show you something.
Anybody else who kind of fits your mold for what we're looking at this week, Paul?
So just staying at the top of the board, I think it's tough to overlook guys that maybe are the class of the event. If you look at FedEx Cup standings, if you look at what guys have done over the course of the last 5 years, Sam Burns is probably either him or Hideki, I would say, but probably the best player in the field. So he also has the ability to go low. He plays par 70 courses well, plays par 4 as well. I think if you're going to go, I saw a 25-1 on him. That's a pretty good number for the best guy, the quote unquote best guy in the field. He's not going to come off as the favorite, but he, I think it's a pretty good number on the guy I think is the best player in the event.
Chad, anybody who you like this week that you want to throw out there and maybe make the flagship or kind of stick your claim your stake to, if you will?
At the top of the board, I'm going to go with a couple guys that are big course history guys. This is a course that once you get used to it, like you got a guy like Webb Simpson, I think he's had 10 out of 13 top 10s. So, and he's like, this is a course for course kind of place that once a guy gets a feel for it, they're usually pretty well there. And two of the guys up there that I'm looking at this week that fit that bill are Russell Henley and Siwoo Kim. Siwoo Kim has won here before. He's had a few top 5s and 10s also other than the win. And Russell Henley I'm pretty sure he's had 3 of the last 4 top 10s that he's played here. So he's another guy that those two can really play this course well. So those are the two I'd be looking at the top.
Cool. Paul, any long shots that you're looking at this week that you might want to sprinkle a couple ducats on? You think might be able to come home and bring it in?
Yeah, one thing I'll mention just before that is there are a couple comp courses. So guys who also play well at the RBC Heritage at Harbortown. Also, also a par 70. It's a target golf kind of deal. And the other one is the Players Championship. So Sawgrass, Target Golf, need to be in position. It's that type of event. So if we're looking at guys who do that well, Cam Davis is a guy who's finished in the top 10 in the last 3 events, whether it be the Heritage or the Players, the last 3 version of those. I like him this week in the middle. Longer shots, I'm going back to the well on Lucas Glover. I think he had a bad burrito last week. And
happens.
Yeah. Last week. So the other thing I'll mention about last week, just real quick, is it was only the 5th event, the 5th time the 3M was played. It was something that we mentioned last week. And when you have such a short sample size, it's less predictive. Whereas this week we're at and I'm saying this and probably going to stick my foot in my mouth, but it's the 11th most predictive course on tour because we have history. Right. Like Chad was saying, you got horses for courses. You got guys like Webb Simpson, who may not be in form right now, but loves this place. Another one of those guys is Brant Snedeker, former winner here, found some form last week. Not going to say he's going to be a winner, but maybe a guy who, shows up on Sunday, might see him in a featured group at some point.
He might be worth a T20 or a T40. I think I saw a number like 250 to 1 or something like that to win. So he's got to be at least top 20, like 8 to 1 or something like that, which might be a good play. Top 40, maybe 3 or 4 to 1.
You got some pretty good odds. You got some pretty good odds on a lot of these players, to be honest with you.
Yeah, the follow up where Paul was going with the middle of the pack, I'm going back to Adam Hadwin. Guy that similar courses he's played well. He was second to Ricky over there at Rocket Mortgage in the playoff. That's another Donald Ross course. Aaron Rye also is a fairways and approach guy. He can sink some putts. He has a really good shot. Longer shots. I like Eric Cole. He's doing things well right now. Maybe Brendan Todd. He's been putting well. He switched back to Scotty Cameron, so now his putting is picked back up a little bit after that. So he's got a good shot at making some putts on these undulating greens, and he's a Bermuda guy as well. And if you want to throw a couple longer shots to triple digits, I like Reevy and you. Ches Reevy.
My guy.
He's your guy. I'm feeling like it might be his time again, and Kevin Yu, I spoke about him earlier, but I think he's got a good shot as a triple digit guy. He showed on Sunday or Saturday last week he can throw some birdies together, and this is a birdie fest.
So Chad's all over the U's, the Woos, and the Kims, and
whoa.
Paul likes some of the older guys. But speaking of an older guy who's been really in good form lately as well too, Stuart Sink.
Oh, you beat me to it, dude.
Playing some great golf lately as well. It just seems like he might be due for one of these. I feel like he's been up there in contention. I don't know. Maybe he's not good on Bermuda, or maybe he doesn't play well on these type of courses. But I don't know.
I was gonna say, give me a shot of Jaeger in the sink.
A shot of Jaeger in the sink.
Yeah, give me Steven Jaeger and Stuart Sink as the long shots here. Nice little plus 5,000. Let's get it.
Quick. One last quick question, and this is the last time that we'll address him. Well, maybe not. Justin Thomas.
It'll be the last time we address him this year
because he's not
playing
anymore
after this week, and he's not playing in the Ryder Cup.
He won't be playing the Ryder Cup exactly. Well, so
what a fall from grace.
Does he have a shot to get into the playoff?
Yeah, he's got to finish 18th or better.
18th or better. Okay.
I don't even see him on the.
He's been in terrible form, and whatever you want to attribute this to, we've seen not this exact same type of fall from grace, but Ricky's had his struggles. You had Jordan Spieth had his struggles as well too. Justin now gets married and is now having his struggles. Do we think that this is like bounce backable? Like, this is curable, right? Like, this isn't. Yeah. I mean, what's going on? Like
at the end of 2024, 2025 beginning season, he'll be back. Just like those other boys took about a year and a half to 2 years off after they got married. Then they decided to have kids, and then the baby swag said, "Oh man, I want to win for them." So
I don't even see Justin Thomas on the odds board.
35 to 1-ish.
35, yeah.
He's not even on this one.
Paul, your thoughts on your boy JT? Or not? I guess it's Paul. It's Chad's boy JT because Chad loves JT.
He's like the only one in that group that I can't stand.
Chad loves.
It's just something about him. Like whenever he was winning, I don't think he ever deserved it because he just got lucky bounces and shit. It just annoyed me so bad.
You're still so mad about Mito Pereira and in him winning. That
it wasn't only him though. There's
3 or 4.
Yeah, that's why. That's the thing. There's 3 or 4 of them. How has that always happened to me with JT?
JT needs a Gina Davis, the same way that Tin Cup needed a Gina Davis. He needs to get his head right, and for all of us that play golf, not obviously none of us at that level, but when you lose it, it's gone. It's just the same way. Go ahead.
I thought you were talking about he needed a Gina Davis on the side of his wife. But yeah, Tiger way, that's it.
Hey, man, you got to hit up a Perkins, man. If they're still around, find one in your area and figure it out.
The same one Tiger snaked that's still there. I mean, you might as well just
not.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I can call up her.
Yeah, it is.
I can call up her sister.
Yeah, it is.
It's not.
No,
it is.
It's a Black Rock now.
It's Black Rock now. You go cook your
I
own
can
meat.
always,
it's delicious, by the way.
Ben. I can get your sister and see if she can hook JT up with her.
It's been like 4 different things since it was Perkins, but it's neither here nor there.
I was just talking about Black Rock. I've been there once. Wasn't really impressed.
I liked it when I went. I had a good time, and I thought the service was good.
It's because you like to handle your own meat.
I liked it when it was Perkins.
Some of us are used to handling their own meat.
I prefer somebody in the back to handle my meat.
I bet. Paul.
Greensboro, North Carolina.
JT. Any thoughts on JT? And first of all, can he make a top 18 this tournament?
Yeah. The short answer is yes. Will I? 35 to 1 is not a bad number.
No.
I mean, it's really not a bad number on a guy who's top 5 in the world at one point.
Do you?
Is he gonna find it this week? My inklings, no.
Yeah,
I don't think he is. Would I like him to? Yeah. More for the reason that we don't have to have this conversation anymore.
Yeah.
Like all the media wants to talk about is, well, Justin Thomas is in a funk. Okay. We just saw Ricky go 4 years in between wins.
Yeah.
There was a time where Jordan Spieth they were talking about, is he going to look at the hole? He's 18 inches away. Is he going to look at the hole? Is he going to close his eyes like Sergio Garcia? Is he going to go crosshand? Do you think he's switching his putter? He went through it. And it took him a year and a half or 2 years. JT is probably the player on tour that's closest to Tiger.
Yeah.
If you need to talk to somebody about being in the right frame of mind to play golf, I don't know if there's been anybody better. There are probably 2 guys in the history of golf that could give you advice on how to have the mental toughness and the head, the game between the ears in order to be
in the history of golf. 2.
I think that there's probably.
Have you watched the movie The Legend of Beggar Vance?
Have you seen episode 2 of Full Swing? That's
so
important to me.
We're gonna move on from this topic, and I got one last thing for you guys, if we may, if you will so
indulge, Jeffrey.
Indulge me in this, and that is that the PGA Tour has added Tiger Woods to the board upon the player's request. Now, I was actually
in official capacity.
What board?
In official capacity.
I mean like a.
So I was talking with a few guys yesterday. I had a table. Some nice guys, doesn't matter, whatever. But they were saying that their opinion was that now this has happened. This just solidifies that Tiger will probably never, ever play again, or at least competitively again. Any thoughts that you guys have on him being named to the board, or any insight that you might be able to give? Chad, I'll start with you, and then Paul, we'll move over to you.
I would not rule Tiger out of playing again. I think he's just got that drive. He feels like he can still win. He, who was it that just did something that proved that the old guys still, or I don't remember what it was, but I think Tiger will play a couple more majors at least once he's back into full health again.
Okay, Paul, any opinion on it?
Not really.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have. I'm not like a golf insider. I don't have access to people on tour. I don't know anybody that works at, the offices or anything like that. I see as much information that's available to the average Joe. The thing that we do is look at trends on the history of events. We look at what the course is, allowing us to see, and guys who seem to fit that mold week to week. So, am I a fan? I hope Tiger plays again.
Just a little speculation here. Just a little speculation.
I mean, that's my hope. I hope he does.
Is there something that prohibits him from playing again now that he is on that board?
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Then I don't understand why that would ever even come up.
I think it becomes much more unlikely.
I think that we can all agree that we thought Tiger
moving into that role, as opposed to, there's a lot of responsibilities that comes with that, and being part of that. And so,
is there?
I feel like there probably is. No, you don't think so?
What would they be?
Go to a board meeting once a quarter.
I feel like we're throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing if it sticks.
Well, that's Jeffrey's way of sports talk.
Who were these guys? Like,
somebody he saw on Twitter, obviously, or I'm sorry, X.
Or you said they were at your table.
No. I was having a conversation. I thought it was interesting to bring up to you guys. Obviously, maybe it wasn't.
So, what were their
are.
PGA credentials?
They don't have PGA credentials.
Damn it, Jeff!
Just some guy.
We're talking about speculation here, Paul. That's what we do on the Uninformed Fan. We're speculating.
Go to the Masters every year, who are very affluent, and we were just talking about golf, and I figured I would bring up the comment to you.
I would think that.
Did you get us tickets to the Masters, Jeff? That's the key answer here.
I didn't, but I will find out tonight.
Yeah, that's what we need to worry about, not whether Tiger's going to play again.
That's a great question, Jeff. As one of the biggest paper fans that I've ever known in my entire life, if you were able to secure tickets to the Masters, would you go?
Yes.
Wow, guys, this is big. This is big. This is big. This man won't go see any of his teams. He won't go to the World Series. He wouldn't go to the Super Bowl or anything, but he would go to the Masters. That's very, very interesting.
Well,
only if Tiger's playing, though.
Yeah, only if Tiger's there. It was funny. I asked my wife the other day. I go, "Hey, boys are planning a golf trip. Cool if I go?" She's like, "Yeah, where is it?" I go, "Cali. You're gonna go play Spyglass and Pebble. Is that all right?" She's like, "Yeah, that's fine." I was like, "Okay." She goes, "Really?" I'm like, "No, I just wanted to see what you would say, so that now I can plan it and figure it out."
I was about to say, "Really?" I was like, I guess folks didn't get that memo.
How about we planned Ireland and Scotland? Let's do that.
I don't know if I can.
I'm really cool with anywhere. Like I would love to just grab the wives and the ladies and just go on a trip, let them go do their thing, and have us go play golf.
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Anyway, moving on.
That's all I got, boys. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, boys.
Always
appreciate it.
A pleasure.
You guys have a great day. Good luck out there.
I'm sure we'll see you. Hey, so I have a question for you, and I just want to brag real quick. Me and Ian played, right? 2 days ago? Whatever. We go out, we play Champions Gate Country Club. If you played it, very easy, very wide open. Why'd you kick Chad? Oh, okay. I was gonna ask a question. Yeah, I just want to ask him a question real quick. So, have you ever been in a situation like this where I go out? I've never broken 80 in my life. I shoot 36 in the front nine, 2 birdies, 2 bogeys, the rest par. Ian has 2 birdies, 3 bogeys. He's 1 over through 9.
This is not a putt-putt course, by the way, right?
No, this is an actual legitimate. Okay. Well, you guys have played Champions Gate Country Club before, right?
Yeah.
And
Great
what
course.
are your? It's super straightforward. It's wide open. It's very much a scoring course. It's not tough. Anyway, so meaning we're shooting the rounds of our lives, and then the water just dumps on us, and it's just like the thought of like you have a chance to do something that you've never done in your life, and then it just monsoons for 2 hours is just like the biggest cuck I feel like of all time.
Well, Jeff, I got one word for you: passion, because it didn't stop the guy in Caddyshack. He continued to have the best round of his life. You're the one that tapped out like a little bitch.
Cosign.
There's a reason why tour professionals have rain gear and umbrellas.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Unbelievable. Imagine throwing that out there like you're going to get some sympathy. Knowing in Florida that we have this thing called radar and a predictive model that we can see if a giant wall of thunderstorm, lightning, hail, rain is coming right at you.
But you know how Florida goes, right? So we played the front 9 in an hour and 15 minutes. We're flying. There's nobody on the course. We get done. It says that it's not going to rain until 4 o'clock. Meanwhile, I'm on call at work. My on call is if it gets used, I got to be there at 5, right? So it says it's not going to start till 4, and all of a sudden things speed up. You know how it goes,
I do. I just don't.
We're going to get through. This is going to happen. Blah blah blah. And then all of a sudden, it just absolutely just turns to what?
Jeff,
and they call me into work, so I can't. I can't sit there and wait.
I really feel bad for you.
Pass.
I feel bad for you. Really do.
What's up,
but
Chad?
You shot a 36 on the front, so you would have shot a 45 on the back anyway.
Well,
if he was lucky.
Yeah.
No, you know what would have happened is I would have shot 44 on the back and shot exactly 80 once again and not been able to shoot 79.
Well, there you
That's
go.
what would have happened.
Thank you for that enlightenment of the story.
18 to get that 80.
I would have what?
You would have 3-putt 18 to get that 80 too.
If he had a putt for 79 from about 10, 12 feet, this is
missing it.
by 10 feet easily. By 10 feet.
This is the same course that I hit 41 putts on the round before that I played there. So
exactly,
there's a high chance that actually happens again. Anyway, got to get back out there.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that story. Boys, have a great day. We'll talk to you again on Wednesday. Look forward to recapping these wonderful predictions, these wonderful picks, and see how much money we're cashing in once again. You guys have a great day. We'll talk to you soon.
See ya.
Sure.
Thanks,
and I do touch. I'm not saying that. I do have a retraction. I do have look in the chat. I do have a retraction. Unfortunately, I did say Gina Davis. It was Renee Russo. So my big apologies out there.
The touch of a rapist, really, Jeremy?
Didn't mean to offend anybody out there, especially the Gina Davis fans or the Renee Russo fans. It was just it was just one of those things. I don't know.
Gina Davis, though. Whew.
The putting stroke of Hefe. Well, some good information out there. So, what?
Do we just want to save NFL for Friday? Do a Friday show?
Are we going to do a Friday show?
We're an hour and a half in.
I don't care. We're going to finish this up.
All right, let's go.
So, moving on. So, the show continues, guys. We got so much content for you guys today. We took so much time off. We're going to pack this in. We're going to finish this up. And then moving forward, not this Friday, but probably the Friday after that, check through the socials, we're going to bring back Football Friday, where we're going to start breaking down all of the football picks going in. Obviously, we're going to have Wednesday picks as well for the Thursday night games, where we're going to be able to talk a little bit of football, a little Formula One on Fridays to get us ready for the weekends. So that will be coming up in the few coming weeks. Football is right around the corner. And then, of course, we have college football right around the corner as well. Fridays are going to be absolutely packed. So let's get into it. We did have a little bit of NFL talk going around the league this year. One of my biggest things and my biggest whoop-to-dos and something to get me warm and fuzzy is that I'm seeing Kyle Trask is actually performing well at Bucs camp. He is outperforming the smaller person of Baker Mayfield. and has only one turnover to Baker Mayfield's 5 and is impressing not only the coaches, the fans, but his teammates as well. There's a lot of buzz going behind the scenes about how this Tampa Bay offense is looking really good going into the start of the season. Now, I know that you saw a few reports as well, Jeffrey, and some of the different ones that I didn't see. Are you getting the same message out of the Bucs camp?
Yeah, I saw a few things. Zip on Kyle Trask's ball has been a lot better than it was the previous years. I also saw about how Baker has been turning the ball over at a very high rate, as opposed to Kyle Trask has been protecting the ball a little bit better. I love the vibes that I have coming out of Bucs camp as well, too, in terms of the offense and the things that are going on with Dave Canales. Mike Evans seems very high on it. I love just the overall vibe of the team. They become a family. And the matter of fact about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is that most of these guys were on the team before Tom Brady. Most of these guys were on the team during Tom Brady, and most of these guys are on the team after Tom Brady. All right, so they are a close-knit bunch. They have gone from a guy who they loved in Jameis, but moved on from. Tom Brady comes in. He took the franchise to new heights that had never been before in the 3 years that he was here. And now we're moving into a different transition. But they just seem like a close-knit bunch and a bunch that's ready to go out and go to war with each other. I love the vibes that I hear that are coming out of it. Obviously, Trask has been there. And this is what we went back to, right? You said, they're saying Baker Mayfield's great for the locker room. And what are they supposed to say? They're supposed to say Baker's bad for the locker room? Well,
I think that you don't say anything. Why does there have to be a narrative?
Because they're asking questions to you. They're asking questions to you. Hey, how's
who's
the locker
asking
room
questions?
The reporters are asking the players questions.
That's what I'm trying to say. The reporters should never have been asked. You can't get the gauge of a locker room from a dude that just comes in, has been there a week. Well,
yeah,
how's the vibes of the locker room? Well, we hate the guy. How about that?
Yeah.
You can't,
they're never going to say that anyway. So,
correct.
It's a brotherhood, so it doesn't even matter.
Is Baker Mayfield in that brotherhood, though?
Of course he is.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
Has he ever been called a bad teammate?
Yeah. In Cleveland.
Who called him a bad teammate?
I don't know. I'll have to do some digging.
Do some digging and let me know.
Jeremy, do some digging.
The people that he didn't get along with were basically OBJ, right? Him and OBJ.
Not the other one too.
Who, Jarvis Landry?
Yes. And when you don't get along with your
who's best friends with Odell Beckham?
Doesn't matter. If you can't get along with your 1 and 2 receivers, you're not going to be successful. And who's to say that? Well, I'm not going to say that
Jarvis
you're not.
Landry's not even in the league anymore. I mean, maybe he's with the Saints or something like that.
I'm not going to say that you're not, but you still have to. You have to jive with your 1 and 2, man. You have to figure it out. You have to get it, and that's where I really feel like Kyle Trask might get a little bit more of the click with these guys because he has been there. Now, I will say again though, he never got first team reps in the first 2 or 3 years that he was there. We've known that. Tom Brady did not give up first team reps. He's finally getting first team reps. He's throwing the ball where it needs to be thrown. And these guys are making plays. I think it's very good. I think it's awesome.
I want to see Kyle Trask come out, grab the reins, and really lead this team. That's the one thing that I think I don't see the dog in him, the alpha in him sometimes.
I agree. And I agree. And I think that comes from being put on the shelf, not dressing.
Baker has it. Baker has that.
Yeah, he has it, but he doesn't have the talent to go along with it. He has talent. Let's get it. He's an NFL quarterback. He's good enough to play.
1 pick.
Yeah, well, that doesn't mean shit. But he's good enough to play on there. But he just can't put it together. And Jeremy, who put this quote out? Because I have a quote here from Jeremy. Mayfield was widely viewed as childish and immature. His behavior annoyed teammates and divided the locker room. He was often difficult to coach. So I'm going to assume that's coming from a coach. But I do see the little bubbles typing over there, so we'll see who that happens. But, I will say this, men and people grow, they mature over the years, and probably when he first came out as a number 1 pick, he probably had that. Same thing as, what's the guy that's no longer relevant anymore? God, what was his name? Mansfield? Johnny Mansfield?
Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel. It's kind of the same thing, right? Came out huge chip on his shoulder. But regardless, I just love to see that, the Bucs have that team synergy, that it looks like, that Trask is doing well, because we all saw it at Florida. There's something about him with practice and, not being able to shine during these times, and I don't know why. We saw it at Florida. Dan Mullen would not sit Felipe Franks from it until he broke his ankle. And then Kyle Trask got put into game situations and then absolutely lit up the SEC. Put up great numbers, passing records. So we know that the talent is there. It's how can you extract it from it? And that's why I was really excited to see that QB coach come over. I thought that he might be able to, while everybody else is talking about how he could resurrect Baker Mayfield's career, I thought more it's going to be a great opportunity for him to work with Kyle Trask to pull that out there and just see if it's there or not. And I think that's all of us Kyle Trask fans, especially Gator fans that have just been wondering is, can we see what we saw on the field at the Swamp? Can it translate to the Bucks field? And,
did you ever see him as like an alpha, like a leader, like during the games?
I've never seen him like, no. But then again, he didn't play the whole time. He just got it out the end. I don't know. I didn't see the swag, but I don't see the swag as Josh Allen. I don't know.
Josh Allen has swag.
I don't see it everyone. Whatever.
Josh Allen is out there yelling at people, pointing at people, going crazy. I mean,
he didn't do that year one though. I mean, you got to figure if the torch is passed, this is year one for Kyle Trask. This is year one. This is his rookie season. If he gets a chance, regardless of how many years he's been in the league or anything, this is going to be his first year getting first team reps, being able to work with these guys, build the rapport, to know where he can put that ball for Mike Evans to get it, to know where he can put that ball for Chris Godwin in the crossing route, to know where he can get it, to put the ball where they want to be put to get the extra yardage. This is the first year that we're seeing it. He hasn't had any first team reps except for right now at camp. I'm just glad that we're seeing it. We're seeing him able to get out there. If he doesn't do it, hey man, that is what it is. All I've ever asked is that he got first team reps with the first team. We're seeing it, and we're starting to see a little positivity out. We're starting to see some growth out of him. You know that he's been in the weight room. We know that he's slipped down a little bit. He's looking really good, really athletic. And again, I think moving on, the divisiveness from the Bucs fans to me is just hilarious. It just really is. I mean, like I think you said numerous times, no Florida team should be able to draft either Florida State quarterback because it's all Florida State people. I don't know.
Yeah, and the same way with Jameis, it was like all the UF guys hated him. You know what I mean? All the Florida State people were irrationally, loyal to him. So it
were you one of those?
Tough.
Irrationally loyal?
I thought I was rationally loyal. I was loyal in the sense of standing up for the guy who I thought was good, and that, yeah, he made terrible decisions and turned the ball over in spaces that he shouldn't have. But you're also going into year one of an offense that you're learning brand new. You've learned how many offenses over your entire career, and you're going into an offense where everything is an option route. So the wide receiver and the quarterback have to understand what the option route is by seeing the exact same defense and making sure that route is broken. There's a lot that goes into Bruce Arians' offense. So I just felt like the criticism was unfair to throw for the most yards in the league and the most interceptions, and to be the guy who says no risk it, no biscuit, and then to turn around and say, oh, well, you risked it too much.
And for that point as well, I mean, as we said previously, they played from behind the entire year. So, of course, he's going to have to throw the ball.
Terrible. And the line was terrible, too. The line was bad. So it's like.
Well, we do have some news out of Indiana. It appears that the Cocaine Cowboy is back, and Jim Irsay. Apparently, he's back on the sauce and throwing out weird accusations and weird things. He put out a tweet, and I'm not going to quote it exactly. I'm going to give you the gist of it, and if I'm wrong, whatever, sue me. He said, if I don't wake up tomorrow, or Jonathan Taylor does not wake up tomorrow, the league will continue to move on, and it will forget about us. Is basically what he said. And, if I'm wrong, Jeremy, quote me, I'm wrong, but I don't think I am. And we kind of talked about this a little bit before the show. He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Just the same way, if any of our jobs, if we didn't go into the work today, they're going to replace us tomorrow. But the questionability is this something that an owner should say? We're going back to the Andrew Luck days. Old Cocaine Jim used to fire off some really amazing rants on Twitter that got him in a little bit of trouble with the league. Old Daddy Jerry Jones had to come in and say, "Hey, Jim, no more lines this week. Let's back it up. Let's get sober.
Stay off the perks.
He got in, got himself cleaned up, but it appears that we're going back in. He needs to be in the limelight, right? He needs to be in the limelight. And as an NFL owner, you are obviously one of the 32 baddest men on the planet. I don't care what anybody says. If you're a sole owner of a National Football League, you are on a different tier than everyone else. You are in the top 50 people as far as respect, whatever you want to call it. It's your absolute coronation that you have made it to own an NFL franchise. So I'll give you that, my man. And you're not wrong. But when you're in the middle of a dispute with arguably one of the best running backs in the league who absolutely carried your franchise when you were abysmal, and you need that man to come through, regardless of his contract situation, you can't say this stuff. Man, come on, bro.
The thing is, too, is like they have the money to pay the dude. Like they have money that's under the salary cap right now that they could just go give Jonathan Taylor. Give Jonathan Taylor 3 years, with the third year is a team option for them to pick up the option if they want to. Give him $13 to $14 million a year and call us a day.
He wants 16.
No. Okay, so you're telling me he's going to say no to 14 and he's going to get tagged for 10?
He said no to. I mean, he wants 16, and I think that goes back to the point where the other tweet that Jim Irsay put out is, "Hey, we negotiated this contract in good faith in regards to whatever it is by position. We can't go back and look at a CBA or whatever again and try to renegotiate the salary of one position." He's like,
"They should."
Well, that's not how it works in any contract, and we all know that.
I understand that, and that's fine. That's a fine stance for him to take. But every free agent sees this, and every free agent sees the kind of person that's tweeting these things out and doing these things. The other issue is that you just drafted a rookie quarterback in Anthony Richardson, a guy who I think has all the potential in the world, who could have a potentially offensive rookie of the year type year this year for the Colts if he gets the playing time and they allow him to blossom. Now, you're going to take away his number one weapon that he has. Like if you look at all of Justin Fields' runs last year,
technically he's not taking away his weapon. Jonathan Taylor is holding out. He's under contract for what he agreed to play under. So, I mean, we can look at it that way as well. You're not wrong either. But again,
let's also say this.
Should this be a cocaine cowboy tweet?
So then you double down the very next night and say, oh, well, Jonathan Taylor came out and said, checked into camp and said that he hurt his back working out. And so we're going to put him on the non-football injury list, and he won't get paid at all for this entire year, and he'll lose 1 year of service as well too. So go ahead and try us. Like this is a game of chicken that is. Listen, he's more than in his rights to do this.
But Jonathan Taylor is not going to win.
No, but Jim Irsay in the long run is not going to win either, as well.
Jim Irsay is winning every day. Okay, he's at the end of the day,
if he cares about his football team winning and being competitive and playing in the National Football League and actually being relevant, he's not going to be winning.
Does he though?
I don't know. That's up to him.
Did Dan Snyder?
And exactly. And then you want to talk about these shitty owners, right? Like the McNairs of that they had down there in Texas as well too, right? These owners that are terrible that don't care. Every free agent knows this. You're going to be shitty the rest of your lives. You're going to get no fans to attend your games. Go ahead, whatever. I'm sure you're making money on your investment anyway, and you don't care. Good for you. But it's up to the rest of the owners to hold those people accountable.
Why would they?
There are a lot of owners that give a shit.
But why would they? Because if you have owners like this that treat their team as a business, right? It is strictly a business. There's no passion. Just like the McCaskies, and just like the majority of these people. You don't even see owners at the games for half of these teams, right? Because there's no passion. It's something that's been passed down. It's something that their daddy or their grandmother or somebody else bought. You don't have the Mark Cubans in the NFL, in my opinion, right? The Mark Cubans that are absolutely passionate. The stories of him being, after he took over the team, sitting in the sales room, making cold calls as well to give out tickets to rebuild the Dallas Mavericks fan base. You don't see that in the NFL because it's given. The money is given. And so when you're talking about, that could be a good plus, but that's a group, right? That's an investment group. And what do investment groups have to answer? They have to answer their shareholders as well. So again, when we're looking at the end of the day of the business and we're talking about owners holding other owners accountable, well, if Jim Irsay tanks his team, that's one less team I have to worry about for my team to be successful. The NFL is still going to be successful. The NFL is still going to bring in the fans. The NFL is still going to bring the most money of any sport in the United States in, regardless if Jim Irsay cares about his team or not. So wherefore, why would I put pressure on him to be a better football club that I potentially can't beat now that, he's not a shitty football team? And I think that that's what you're going to see. I don't think that at the end of the day, the owners give a shit when people treat their teams shitty, because that's just one less team that they have to worry about in competing against. Now, that could be completely wrong, but that's just the way I see it. If I own the Chicago Bears and I put my blood, sweat, and tears there, and I was there every single game, and I got this guy over here who's pissing off his players, causing dissolution between his locker room, and now free agents don't want to go there, or if I'm in that division and people don't want to go there, that's just a plus for me, because that's one less team I have to worry about competing against. So I don't know if the owners would keep him accountable, but again, it's a difference between passion and a business, bro. It's just difference, Some of these people, this is just like something that's on their balance sheet, right? It's hey man, I own that team. There's very few. You got Robert Kraft that's out there every single game, that travels the game, that's involved with his players. Outside of him, I really don't know, to be perfectly honest with you. Jerry Jones, but I mean, he screws up more than he fixes anyway. But I will say at least he's passionate about it, right? I mean, you're not going to see these same type of things coming out with him. He might say, hey, look, we got this going on. This is the way it is. This is how it's going to be. But you don't see him out there saying, well, if he doesn't show up tomorrow, there's no big deal. I don't know. I don't know. I think you find very few owners in the NFL that are passionate about their teams. I think most of them just look at it as a business. And unfortunately, that's what you're going to have until you get somebody in there that's never had this type of money or this type of exposure before, or you get people like Magic Johnson and that group together that are pooling their money together to be able to be impactful. And then again, I look at that as a little different as well. It's an investment group, and you own 4 different teams and different leagues and this, that. How passionate are you about each one? And you're an investment fund, so therefore you have to produce profits for your investors. So I don't know. I'm kind of torn on stuff like that. I really like the fact, like the one owners, like the Robert Krafts, that put money in the team. Even though Virginia McCaskey and the McCaskey family has completely screwed up the Bears since the beginning of time, they've had some of the most prolific players that ever come through Chicago. But you know what? I don't see them out there waving the flag and beating it. You do see her out there at games, but I don't know. Speaking of people that are talking shit, actually, let's go back to this. You did mention Anthony Richardson. And, obviously we have a little bit of a small little warm in our heart for our man, Anthony Richardson. We have some concerns on it, but the message coming out of the camp is that he is progressing very well with his reads, being able to pick up the offense. We talked a little bit beforehand about the possibilities of him being able to start, whether or not that would actually come to fruition or not. And we made the bold assumption, depending on games, how he could play, maybe the rookie of the year.
Yeah, no, I think he has a chance to be offensive rookie of the year, depending on how many starts he gets. There's going to be a lot of prop bets that I think will be probably coming down my way from some friends of ours about Anthony Richardson and the hill that I'll die on this year. But I just think it'll be interesting. But I think he needs Jonathan Taylor to be successful. You need that threat of the running game to be able to allow him to get outside the pocket and make those plays with his own legs. So it'll be very interesting, in my opinion.
I think it's going to be interesting as well. We both talked about how they use Anthony Richardson, whether he's going to be able to stay healthy throughout the whole year. Speaking of shots fired, we're going to wrap it up with this. We have a little drama going on with Aaron Rodgers and Sean Payton, and Sean Payton coming in and basically just obliterating the coach, Eberflus. What's his name?
No, it was Nathaniel Hackett.
Nathaniel Hackett. That was over there.
So Sean Payton and Nathaniel Hackett. Nathaniel Hackett was the head coach of the Denver Broncos last year. He got let go. It was a train wreck, and Sean Payton takes over. Sean Payton obviously had a few comments about the way that that everything went down with them last year, and he made those known. Aaron Rodgers came out and said, "Keep my coach's name out your mouth." If you remember correctly, Nathaniel Hackett was the quarterback coach for the Green Bay Packers for a while. Nathaniel Hackett then gets the head coaching job for the Denver Broncos, as the Broncos are trying to be in trade talks to trade for said Aaron Rodgers to bring him over there. That doesn't happen. They end up going with Russell Wilson. Rodgers stays put. Now Rodgers gets traded to the Jets. Nathaniel Hackett now becomes the same quarterback coach for the New York Jets, and the circle of the NFL moves on. However, if you watched any of the Denver Broncos last year, they were terrible.
Train wreck.
Absolutely horrendous.
Dumpster fire.
And they are one of my favorite bounce back teams this year as well, too, under the tutelage of Sean Payton. I think they're going to be phenomenal. I think Russell Wilson's got a chance to have a big bounce back year. Obviously, it sucks. They lose KJ Hamler to a unfortunate heart condition, which looks like he's going to be able to bounce back from. And then they lose Tim Patrick to an Achilles. But you still have Cortland Sutton. You still have Jerry Jeudy on that team. You still got the tight end, I forget his name, kid out of Iowa, I think is really, really good as well. And then you have Javonte Williams, who's coming back off of that ACL tear, who missed most of the season. I was a huge Javonte Williams believer last year. I thought that he was going to be amazing. I drafted him in every single league that I could, only for him to go down after week 3. Very unfortunate. But you know what they say about fantasy football? It's not the team that you draft, it's the team that you end up with.
I general manager of the year for like 15 years in a row.
I've been doing a pretty good job. Well, I can't wait to dive into some of that stuff with you guys as well too. The comments from Rodgers, I understand he's going to stand up for his guy, but read the room a little bit. And this whole thing with Aaron Rodgers about how he's changed so much. He gave back $35 million of his salary. He's really, locked into being part of the Jets. And, I think he said something like, if we needed to make a trade at the deadline, I wanted to make sure we had the cap space to be able to do it, and so on and so forth. This is all good and well, but if you think that Aaron Rodgers is going to get that money on the back end at some point, you're kidding yourself, right? The other thing is let's be real honest. Aaron Rodgers has never been a great teammate ever in his life to most of the people that have been on his team. You can say Randall Cobb,
where's the reports?
Lewis, Lazard, whatever it is, but the way that he's treated rookies continuously throughout his career, we've had these reports every single year that he's played about how he's on the same page with the rookies, doesn't like the rookies, so on and so forth. So now you're telling me that he's going to step into this situation. My biggest issue with the Jets this year is going to be their offensive line. Can they keep Rodgers upright? And I don't think Rodgers is a guy who's going to want to get out of the pocket and run around and try to make plays, which is a lot of what Zach Wilson had to do last year. If you looked at it, I don't know. The Jets, I'm not in on this year. I know a lot of people, it's going to be their darling. It's going to be their Super Bowl pick and everything like that. I will be a fader of the New York Jets this year. That is just my own opinion. I think Rodgers is washed. I don't think he's going to have an MVP type year. I would honestly take
1 year removed.
You give me points per game. And I'm going to say this right now. And I almost made this bet the other night, and I want to wait until we get closer to the season to officially make it with some of my boys. But you give me game started and fantasy points per game and game started, I will take Anthony Richardson over Aaron Rodgers this year. Absolutely.
There you have it, folks. That's the hot take to end the session here today. Wow. I mean, I can't deny it, but I think that I think it's going to depend on Anthony Richardson mobility as well. Because I mean, I could say the same thing and say Justin Fields is going to blow him away as well.
But I trust. Well, I agree with you. I will take Justin Fields over Aaron Rodgers fantasy wise as well.
Oh, we'll end it with this little quote from Jeremy Swenson here, our 3-time Emmy-nominated producer. Matt Lombardo with FanSided, the ex-NFL GM, said, the guy is selfish. The teammates don't like him. Coaches don't like him. It's all about Aaron. They all deal with him because he's a superstar. He helps guys make money and put food on the table for the kids, and people respect him for that. I think that's a pretty good take, I would say. I would say that's pretty much... I don't know. Sometimes, sometimes I see him in on a podcast or whatever, or just hanging out. He looks like a pretty cool dude, and then sometimes I'm like, what a douchebag. But I guess that's just from the snippet you see, right? I don't know. On that note, we're going to wrap it up here from the Uninformed Fan. What a banger of a show today here. Almost 2 hours long coming back. So just to recap, we will be coming up in a couple weeks with our Football Fridays. We're going to be breaking down all of that coming up. We'll be back next week on Monday. For those of you that are in the Orlando area, come out and check out Thomas Memorabilia. We'll be out at the New York Beer Project on Saturday at 11 a.m. for a Johnny Damon signing. He'll be over there. Tickets for that are on sale. I don't know how many are still left. The card show and the memorabilia show are going to be free. So make sure you stop on and say hi to your boy. We'll be out there. I think it's from 11 to 1. We'll be out there with the little table, with little merchandise, and shooting the shit with some of the peeps in the local area. So if you're not doing anything, come on, check it out. Other than that, it's been a beautiful day. It's wonderful to be able to see you again. Enjoyed hanging around with you. If you like the video, Everyone, have a stupendous day.